Lords, I rise to give my maiden speech, and I am delighted to follow the convention of thanking those who have made me so welcome in your Lordships House since my introduction in March, including the doorkeepers, the clerks and staff, and the many friends from all sides, but especially from local government, and particularly from my own county of Norfolk. These include my noble friends Baroness Shephard of Northwold and also Baroness Eaton, who has provided so much guidance and support. Now, since my introduction, I have been seeking a moment to make a mark on two issues where I hope that are close to my heart and where I think I can make an informed impact. Firstly, the business of food production and food security, and secondly, the importance of good housing as the foundation of building strong communities. This debate gives me the opportunity to talk about both, because, my Lords, at its heart, this debate is about the two most basic human needs: food in your belly and a roof over your head. Now, perhaps I can tell you a little bit about myself. I have pursued a career in the agricultural supply industry, where I have also combined it with the leadership of a local authority in Norfolk for nearly 20 years, a position I have recently relinquished to concentrate on my duties here. My Lords, I was raised in the Norfolk seaside town of Galston-on-Sea, which I am proud to have as my territorial designation. And as befitting somebody from the coast, I have a strong belief in the utility of the picture postcard, and keen observers in your Lordship's cloakroom will note that my own peg is illustrated with an image of the superb Galston beach rather than my name. Now, I would show you one of these postcards, except as a keen new member, I have learned from the companion that the display of visual aids is forbidden during debate. Now, Galston is a wonderful part of Great Yarmouth, which is an historic borough which provided the homecoming for Norfolk man Nelson upon his victorious return from the Battle of Copenhagen. It now plays an important role in our nation's energy security, having evolved global leadership in many aspects of clean energy production, whilst benefiting from the world's largest wind farm array on our doorstep. I was schooled in Suffolk and graduated from the University of Reading with a degree in agriculture, and I clearly remember visiting the farm of Lord Benyon as part of our studies. Now, eyes have often glazed over when I discuss my role in the fertiliser industry. But hey, we've all got to eat. And my business sits at the foundation and is one of a number of enablers of our entire food chain. The entire agricultural supply trades support an army of farmers who have created our countryside and our natural environment, and whose dedication, professionalism and innovation have made our agriculture the most innovative, sophisticated and productive in the whole world, and responsive to external shocks like the Ukraine situation. The supply industries have innovated the technical advances that prove that there isn't a binary choice between farming or wildlife. No longer is there a contest between food production and the environment. Both can live alongside and be achieved together. Now, my Lords, perhaps more than any other, the food, drink and agriculture sector is dominated by unlisted family-owned businesses. These firms have an eye to the long-term thinking that builds generational wealth in our islands. Not all have deep pockets, but each tends to be embedded in their communities, spending money locally and enjoying the loyalty of staff who work with them for decades. I read the newspapers, and I'm concerned, greatly concerned, that unlisted family businesses, the bedrock upon which our economy is founded, could be pivoted into short-term thinking, salting away capital rather than investing, if mooted changes to property reliefs are introduced. Any government should treat carefully about capital taxation on such businesses. I know more than most that there is no such thing as unearned income when you put your family's wealth on the line when building a firm to make better futures for those who work with you. And remember, these are the people that feed us. Now, as a nation that only produces 2/3 of the food we consume, where we have competitive and comparative advantage on matters like genomics, we should exploit it. But chasing regulatory alignment with our closest neighbours in a way that hobbles our food chain, with counterproductive carbon taxes and trade barriers that do nothing to reduce emissions, yet drive up domestic prices, We'll do nothing to help our exports of beer, bread and cheese to global audiences and help earn our place in the world. And I was grateful that Lord Hunt mentioned it in his opening remarks, but lately it has been overlooked. But food security is something we must focus on in times of international unrest and extreme weather. And we celebrate those that put food on the kitchen table across the nation, delivering that most basic survival need of all, nourishment. Now, my lords, I have a completely different string to my bow. What I have learned in nearly 2 decades as a council leader is that when you arrive at the council offices on a Monday morning to find people with their entire possessions in a plastic bag having been made homeless over that weekend, it focuses the mind. If you can't sort it, who will? And fixing housing issues isn't just about building homes, but it is a critical issue facing us all. Over the years, I have chaired 2 local plans, throughout the 2010s delivered 1% of this entire nation's social housing additions, replaced every home lost to right to buy with more besides, and been in the top 10 for the new homes bonus, the reward for delivering houses, not just talking about them, and also played a leading role in the physical and social infrastructure, building alongside and up front along the construction of new homes. I know a little bit about this, and the planning problem isn't just with councils. Councils cop the blame in the press because they're holding the ring between the proponents and objectors. But it's the national agencies, often with their heavy-handed over-regulation, that must share the blame for most of the delays and obfuscation in the planning system, and by adding costs we can't afford. So whilst the modernisation of planning committees might be an eye-catching announcement in the press notices yesterday, a clear restatement of the equality of the 3 limbs of sustainable development, social, economic and environmental, and the recalibration of the balance between them so that one limb does not have a veto over the other would be more useful. My lords, it's time that the veto over delivering new affordable homes, establishing new communities and building new infrastructure is removed from natural England, who, in my experience, and that of your Lordship's Built Environment Committee, have been found to be wanting. My lords, not building new homes does nothing to clean up our rivers. Wheeling out rogue algorithms on bat numbers should not blindly condemn communities to congestion forever. Forcing councils to hire people in yellow coats to tell ramblers how to walk their dogs in the name of GIRAM's regulations is just simply pointless posturing. Preening self-serving bureaucracy by unaccountable agencies acting as activists rather than regulators must be rolled back if we are to progress. It's now clear to me that preventing the reform of neutrality rules last year might have been good politics, but it's been the artisan journeymen like bricklayers, plumbers, roofers and tilers who have been caught in the crossfire and paid the price in lost work and lost businesses, made it even harder for us to meet the targets. The targets. We've been in this place before. All I will say is that simply wishing for houses to be built isn't a strategy. To make progress here, we will need to recognise there is a world of difference between the funding of new homes and the financing of them. Funding is writing the cheque. Financing is putting that deal together. They are completely different disciplines. And in the world where writing the cheque isn't easy, government must give more licence to the local planning authorities like the district councils in the travel to work areas that Lord Lansley referred to that surround our cities to set up development corporations, pull deals together and take the risk on upfront infrastructure delivery with repayment as the new homes are occupied. My lords, I'm conscious I'm slightly over time, but if you forgive me on my maiden, I sat on the Sill Review in 2016-17, and I find it astonishing, just to go into one level of detail, that local authorities are prevented from borrowing against projected infrastructure income in the way they can with Section 106. I could point to many other examples, but it is only by fixing such things that we will allow more homes to be built. Simply hoping our wishes will come true will not be enough. My lords, everything I've done in my career has brought me to this place to talk about these 2 most consequential issues of our time. I'm proud to be debating the importance of good food placed on kitchen tables in new homes, food and shelter. The These are the two most basic needs for individuals, without which there can be no true foundations for a healthy society and a vibrant economy. I stand by to play my part in helping our nation provide for these needs, and I wish the new government well in seeking to fulfil them.
Yeah. My Lords, I'm delighted to be the first to congratulate my noble friend on an excellent and engaging maiden speech and to welcome him firmly to these benches. The great strength of your Lordships House is that it gathers men and women from across the land who have served the country in many different ways, especially in local government. And my noble friend joins those mighty ranks today. And listening to his maiden speech just now, it felt like this isn't just a purpose-made debate for the humble address, but for Lord Fuller himself. Alongside his many and continuing years of service as a councillor, including leading South Norfolk for over 10 years, my noble friend has advised the government on housing infrastructure finance and has worked on local government pensions, bringing a wealth of practical knowledge to our House on two pressing issues. Yet, as we heard from my noble friend, he brings much more to this chamber. An understanding of the importance of food production, a respect for British farmers, and recognition of their enormous worth. The importance of building new homes, and crucially homes people want to live in. And my noble friend brings his love of Norfolk, something we share as my grandparents lived in one of Norfolk's many beautiful seaside villages, and I'd often spend many a happy break there as a kid. And as we heard, he will throw his considerable energies into the work of your Lordships House, and as demonstrated by his maiden speech today, this is something from which we will all benefit and look forward to. My Lords, turning to